Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Bucket List by Only in Your State. I am here once again with my co host Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hello, Marissa. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Fantastic. It is farmers market and flea market season, and that makes me
Mhm.
very happy.
I do love that. I love that little transition. Although here in Florida, it's
Mm.
farmers market all season long.
You
Uh,
know, they should put that at the top of the billboards of "Welcome to Florida, farmers market year round."
yeah, actually, crazy enough, I think it's supposed to get up to 98 this week.
Mm.
Here it was yesterday was like 94, real feel 113, which
Holy!
who wants to do that? Not me.
How do you deal with that? Like walking outside. I know you're more of a heat person. I get that, but that still seems suffocating, especially with
It
the humidity.
is.
Like,
Yeah.
how is that?
Well, for starters, all my grass is dead, which makes me really, really upset because I take pride in my lawn care abilities and it's all dead. So that for starters has made me extremely sad. But also on top of that, it's sweltering, which
Yeah.
nobody wants to do that. Like that's in
Mhm.
my opinion. That's not fun unless you're at the beach, and even then it's really not fun. But uh I played pickleball with my dad yesterday and I almost died.
It
And
sounds like it. Like, unless you're going at midnight. I mean,
yeah,
come on.
little midnight pickle.
No, yeah.
Um, yeah. What about you? What's the weather like in Ohio right now?
So it is finally getting a little gorgeous out. We had some storms, which was fine. No major tornado damage or anything, but so it's a little bit claggy and muggy out, which is okay. But like 70s, so like
Hmm.
outside and anything, pretty nice.
Nice.
Um,
Sweatshirt
I'm
weather.
really. Oh my god, if I could just live in 65 to 75 year round, oh, that would be perfect. But
Same.
everywhere you can, it is very expensive. So
Yeah.
I wonder why.
That's true. We keep running into that problem. Yes. But so we've taken some time off from new episodes. Have you missed recording? Have you missed our conversations? Here's
Oh
tell
my
tell us the
god,
truth.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've missed recording. I've been looking forward to our next episodes, and I feel like I just bring us up in casual conversations because I'm so excited to like talk about, especially if we're referencing cryptids or pronunciations and my struggles. Yeah, it's great. How about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I really have missed it. I do, like I was traveling for a little bit, I took some time off, and somehow whenever I meet new people, only in your state is always dropped in the convo,
Mhm.
especially with people that, are from the States, even people in Canada, because, they come down and visit. And I'm always just like, well, have you heard of Only in Your State? Have you visited before? And they're like, no, what's that? And I have to break it down, and then I'll mention the podcast and what we do. But it's always fun like when you travel yourself and you meet new people and then you get to kind of like let them in on
Yeah.
not just our work but also just like what we do on a day to day and helping discover new places and stuff like that. And I think it's really cool. And yeah,
Yeah,
I did miss it.
I was talking about the podcast with a friend, my friend Autumn, which I told her I would shout her out because I always talk
Shout out
around her.
Autumn.
Shout out Autumn. Autumn, hello.
Hey
No,
Autumn.
but I always love talking to her about the podcast and about Only in Your State because her parents, her dad especially, are just like giant fans, which I think is so wholesome. And
Heck yeah.
she's like, yeah, he gets only in Ohio and only in Pennsylvania, whatever, and they love reading about it. And I just love talking to people who they're familiar with the brand, and especially if they have parents or family members who love the brand. They're like, "Oh my god, my mom or cousin or brother or whatever gets your emails or follows your Facebook page." And I don't know, it just
Yes.
makes me nerd out a little bit, so I appreciate that. So thanks, Autumn,
Yeah.
for brightening my day.
I do feel like sometimes too I get a little defensive when I ask people, like, have you heard of Only in Your State? And they say no, and I'm like, wait, what?
Why not? Just
How have you not? Which,
gotta
yeah,
step up.
very presumptuous of me that everybody has heard of us, but
Well,
um,
it's all over, they're going to.
yeah.
That's our
Before
goal.
what's all over?
I don't know.
Are we talking apocalypse?
Yeah. I'm always thinking
Okay.
about one eye on the apocalypse, the podcast. So
Oh man. Well, with that segue, what better way to welcome back our audience than with this episode today that we are dedicating to the Amish community in Pennsylvania, more specifically, Green Dragon Farmers Market. And the title of this article, The Amish Flea Market Every Pennsylvanian Needs to Explore at Least Once. That's
And
what
I
we're
would
going to be
argue
discussing.
every United States citizen, because
Hmm.
not only is it well known in Pennsylvania, but this is a giant farmers market. And I
Yeah.
love their signage because they are blaring one of the best farmers markets in the United States, according to some publication that I forget the name of at present. But they've gotten major awards. So, there you
Which is
go.
very important. I feel like
Yeah.
yes, you need a good claim to fame to kind of draw some people in.
Plus, only in your
Um,
state wrote about it. So,
I know. Yes, shout out to Beth Price Williams, who is
mhm.
the author of this article. And speaking of Pennsylvania, just wanted to give a little nod to your sweatshirt. Little cryptid Pennsylvania squonk for anybody that's been a
Oh my God.
repeat listener.
Praise the squonk. For every listener that knows who Squonk is, please drop us a comment or message us because it's just going to delight me. Do you want to give
Yes.
an intro into who Squonk is, Marissa?
So we had a season that was based all about local lore and legends, and I do feel like somehow, Sarah, we kind of bring the squonk into every episode, no matter what season we're in. And so the squonk is this little cryptid that I don't know how it just like caught our attention and stuck with us because it's a crying pig like creature that is just sad and thinks it's ugly and just cries and then like disappears in the forest.
Yes. So I think there's been a resurgence of the Squonk. Heather from Small Town Monsters, we had an interview with her. This is a cryptozoology group. And apparently there's a festival called Squonkapalooza in Pennsylvania, which, oh my gosh, I need to see when that is. Anyway, but yeah, it's a Pennsylvania cryptid, rep in Pennsylvania. Maybe you'll see the squonk on your way to the Green Dragon Farmers Market. Who knows? Maybe there'll be squonk
Wow.
plushies there. Given that,
Hmm?
not to get into it, but given the amount of vendors, you might see some. Just
That's
saying.
true. Yes. Excellent point. So speaking of the amount of vendors in this farmers market, this place is huge, first and foremost. It's
Yes.
in Ephrata, right?
Sure.
Ephrata, Pennsylvania. So the thing about this farmers market, which I found very unique, is that it's only open on Fridays.
Yes. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. all holidays unless Christmas falls on a Friday. So it's there for when you need it.
Yeah, yes, and year round too.
Mm-hmm.
This does not stop. This is year round every Friday. And people are probably asking, why the heck are you talking about this farmers market in Pennsylvania? Why is this so big that we're dedicating an entire podcast episode to it? And I think a lot of it has to do with the Amish community in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Pennsylvania is home to one of the largest and oldest Amish communities in the entire country.
Mm-hmm.
And this flea market has become super popular with the community. But also, which we'll get into later, people commenting on our Facebook post saying they'll drive an hour and a half just to get there because it's so cool.
Yes, and if you're not familiar with the Amish community, I grew up around it because some of the Pennsylvania Dutch and Amish kind of bled over into Ohio. But basically, this community dates back to 16th century Reformation in Europe, and is basically the Anabaptist movement spurred the creation of these plain community, the Amish, the Mennonites, and the Brethren, and basically they escaped Europe for persecution and made a home in the Americas. So basically, in the early 18th century, they came over here for their Anabaptist beliefs, and the Pennsylvania Amish community in Lancaster County is the oldest and largest Amish community in the United States. And so, just to give you a brief overview, you might have seen them in like pop culture, media, whatever, usually dress very plain. Humility is a core component of their community, and they make a really good furniture, by the way. So
Yeah.
that's my spiel on the Amish. If you're not familiar.
Yeah, I grew up near Lancaster actually,
Oh, that's
and
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, in New Jersey, and we would go every once in a while. You know, they again, yes, great furniture, great markets, and
Oh my
they're
God.
it's like the community itself is very much renowned for like you said, kind of minimalist humility, but also
Mhm.
agriculture is really big.
Yes.
Craftsmanship is huge. You know, they focus on a lot of like traditional values within their community, but then also just, you know, operating small family farms or
Mhm.
using horse-drawn equipment is a big thing in
Oh,
the Amish community.
speaking of which, not to segue into a side story, but I stayed at an Airbnb out in Berlin, Ohio, the last year, and which I love. It was adorable. Got to middle of Amish country, but those horse-drawn buggies, driving around them is so stressful because
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to spook the horses. I'm sure they're trained. You want to make sure that everyone's okay. You don't want to pass them, but you need to pass them.
Yeah.
It's a whole level of stress that I forget exists.
Yes,
Kudos
going
to the
very
horses.
slow, slow at their own
Yep.
pace.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, so Green Dragon Farmers Market. This you'll find a lot of really cool stuff here. You mentioned vendors. Do you know exactly how many vendors there are? Did you come across
Gosh,
that by
I do
chance?
not know. Let me look. So I have the interactive map up,
Okay,
and I would say over 100.
cool.
Um, and they have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven buildings, a farm plaza, a tower village, and lower and upper end. So there are giant sections to this place. So you want to book the whole day in order to go
Mm,
through all these vendors.
yes. Um, Also, it should be noted this is one of the largest farmers market in Pennsylvania itself.
Hmm.
So that's another big draw for people. And um, it's you're gonna find a lot of obviously we talked about the Amish community, we talked about craftsmanship, furniture, you know, stuff like that. But you have fresh produce, you're gonna have meats, you're gonna have baked goods,
Yep.
antiques, a lot of people just kind of showcasing their own personal craftsmanship, which I think is
Yeah.
neat.
So, what's your go to stall when you hit up a farmer's market or a flea market? What are you looking for?
Mm. Oh, probably pickles.
Ooh, you big into
Yeah.
pickles? Okay, like specialty, like
Yeah.
horseradish and I don't know. Is
All
it
all
just
the
all
above.
pickles? Okay.
Yes. I love pickles. I love how crazy people can get with pickles flavor wise. I love making my own pickles. Yes.
Wow.
What about
You're a
you?
tried and true pickle girl. All right. I I do love I do love pickles. Any kind of little treat, little snack, like little
Mm.
cheeses or pastries, anything like that. Love myself a
Hmm.
good preserve, like hot pepper jelly,
Oh,
apple
yes.
butter, like that's
Yes.
yeah. But also any kind of like pouch or leather good or anything like that that I know I'm going to use in my day-to-day life. Love picking
Hmm.
those up at farmers markets cuz that's no
Cool.
easy feat to create like some of these bags, like whether they're crocheted or leather or whatever. So, and I just love
Yeah.
talking to the people there, like understanding
Yeah.
their craft, how they got into it, what's their favorite thing to make. It's so fun to just chat people up.
Yeah, I do. I agree. And I love that, you know, the simplicity of certain communities, especially the Amish community, you know, just that it's just a completely different way of life that, you know, just simple
Yeah.
living, which is something that I, you know, try to incorporate in my day to day, but a lot harder than you think. But
Also,
yeah,
harder than you think, churning butter takes a long time.
have
It
you tried?
Yes, well, I just recently discovered this isn't like a widely done thing, but whenever I was like in first grade, we churned butter. Did you not churn butter in first grade?
Wait.
Yeah,
For like what? The teachers to sell or just like it was like a
it was a scam. That's No, I think it must have been like a science class or something. I don't remember, but they gave us cream and a small little mason jar and just had us shake it for a long time and made butter.
Wow, very cool. Then you got to
Which
try it after?
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Huh.
I think I would up my butter game today and get one of those little mini hand churns and
Hmm.
save the buttermilk and do all the stuff. But yeah.
Interesting. Huh. Yeah, I've never tried to churn butter. Um,
I mean, you probably can't churn vegan butter, but
that's probably
nice,
true.
nice thought.
Take it 24 hours later. I'm like, why isn't this solidifying? Um, yeah. Wow. Cool. I do love, first of all, stuff like that. Going to a market and finding homemade butter or, like you said, homemade cheeses and stuff. I do find
Mhm.
that so unique. Or breads. I mean, gosh, breads
Oh
are
my
another
god.
great one. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
homemade bread, man.
I mean, honestly, what you should do, get to a farmer's market, go to the Green Dragon Inn, go to the Green Dragon Farmer's Market and get some bread, get maybe a little spread or a pickle to go on it and just wander
Mm,
and just bite off
sounds
hunks.
good.
That's heaven, really. I
That
mean,
sounds great to me. Um,
and oh, and also, if you're not interested in just the flea market, farmer's market, there are also auctions for livestock, furniture, hay if you're into the agricultural business, but I think it would break my heart to see the livestock auctions because I know that
mm,
they're probably going for a different reason than I would be.
yeah, true. I would be coming home with cows galore
I
and
know, like they just look so sad.
no place to put them.
Well, there's plenty of
Yikes.
farmland in Florida. I learned it's one of the leading states for the bovine industry, right? Cattle?
Really?
I thought so. Like in addition to maybe like
Interesting.
California and Texas. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. My brother might
Uh-oh.
have been lying to me. He would.
He's like, yeah, this is a great tidbit for your podcast. I swear it's true.
I'm not gonna fact check it. It's fine.
So yeah, so rounding out this article, we also I saw Beth Price Williams added a photo of pretzels too, which would be on my list. Homemade
Mm-hmm.
pretzels, yes,
Mm-hmm.
please. Um, but also, yeah, the furniture sale, they said specifically the first Friday of every month at 6 p.m., huge furniture sale. And so for anybody who loves furniture, head out for that.
Yep.
And then, yeah, so basically bring cash is what they're saying. Need to know, bring some
Yes.
cash.
There are two ATMs on site though, so if you don't have cash, you can get it there.
Yeah. And so, segueing into we post every episode on our Facebook page for Only In. And we asked people, do you have any personal stories about Green Dragon Farmers Market? And I was surprised at some of the responses. It was very nostalgic in that comments section.
Yes. Yes. It's like
Did you have any
everyone in
favorites?
Pennsylvania had a childhood story about the Green
Yeah.
Dragon Farmers Market. Yeah.
Yeah, what were some of your favorites besides just ignoring these weird Boston Terrier spam comments that I keep seeing? Weird, but we're not joining your Boston Terrier group.
Nope.
Did you have any favorite comments about the market?
So similarly to you, I love to see the people who are like, "Yes, I'm going to drive from New Jersey. We would drive hours for this. It was a common staple. My grandparents loved this place." People just seemed very passionate about a farmer's market, which is I don't know why that's
Yeah.
surprising to me, but it was.
Mm,
How about
yeah.
you?
Yeah, there was a little like conversation in the comments where someone posted, Kim, she said her father had a cookware stand for over 30 years. He loved the Amish and Mennonite people. Um, she has a lot of memories of seeing her dad there. And then
Yeah,
somebody said, was he, quote, the kettle man across the aisle from a restaurant?
I
And
love it.
Kim, yeah, it was like just this whole
Ah, yes, the kettle
you
man.
know
We knew
yeah,
him
i
well.
just i just thought that was like such a unique, because connecting people in our
Yeah,
comments section.
and I was trolling through the reviews on their Facebook as well, the Green Dragons Facebook, and I saw people shouting out. I don't know if it's still there because these are some older comments, but Rachel's Diner I saw got some shout outs about being great food, but I have to assume that within the farmers market there's probably really really good food and the kettle
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
um, but so many loads of people saying just how amazing the produce is both for price and quality. So I feel like you just got to get the biggest shopping bags possible and just
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I also
I
love to go to places, buy their shopping bags as like a little souvenir treat, and then you
Oh,
know
Like tote bags and stuff.
Yeah, like hit up some vendors for some
Yeah.
tote bags.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this market, which I don't know if we mentioned this, but it dates back to the early 1930s, right? This market has been around for like a very, very long time.
Yes.
Because even someone in the comments section was saying back in the 50s, they were talking about this man that made brooms and sold them at Green Dragon.
Yep.
Um, so I just think like what a cool, market to kind of last all of these decades.
Yeah.
Be probably a great source of just, income for certain communities just to sell things that they're good at making,
Yeah.
because I don't know.
I mean, it ties the communities together. Like you said, it was Noah Burkholder founded it in 1932. It wasn't the same business at that point, or even called the same thing, but it went through being a garage, a repair shop, and then it was a tavern called Shrek's. Not spelled the way you want it to be, but that's
Oh,
okay. Um, and then has since evolved into the Green Dragon Farmers Market, which I learned that they picked the name literally because the owner was on vacation, saw a restaurant called the Green Dragon. They're like, I like that. That's
wow.
yeah. Um,
Interesting.
and speaking of bringing communities together, it kind of made me think too about farmers markets in the U.S. and like really where they got their start, because I feel like it's such like I have two planned up going to this weekend, and it's such like
Hmm.
I feel like it's becoming more and more popular over the decades, and I don't know if that's just me just being biased, but I was looking into it. So they started in North America in the 1600s. So European settlers brought that tradition over with them. And one of the first recorded markets was the Boston Market, not the restaurant, in 1634. And then I think they started to spread out from that, and the Philadelphia market being one of the earliest too. And
Wow.
so basically, it was just like a great combination of places for people in rural communities to come and bring their goods, and then people in urban communities getting fresh stuff, produce, meats and all that. So it was a really mutually beneficial arrangement for both communities. But then in the 50s, with the evolution of roads, high speed transportation, preservatives, and kind of like that microwave and TV culture,
Hmm.
it kind of died off. But then they started to make a comeback in the 70s. And I think just people wanted to get better produce. They wanted to establish like communities and just like support each other. And now there are over allegedly 8,000 farmers markets in the US. I'm probably more
Hmm.
if they're not registered with whatever directory that they're accounting from. So I just think that's fascinating. I know
Yeah.
I love them. I'm gonna go get little goodies and treats. And yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think that's really fascinating that, they had this sort of resurgence to where you can go and find seasonal ingredients that, because I guess just like people assume that you can just get any sort of produce year round and that it's going to be
Right.
available because that's kind of what supermarkets do for us now.
Yes.
But that's not really the case. They're vegetables, fruits. They have seasonality to them, and I think that's what's cool about going to the farmers market during different times throughout the year is because you'll have this chance to get produce that maybe you won't get,
Yeah.
any other time. And that's fun for me. Is I love finding something I've never cooked with before and being like, okay, how do I make this into
Yes.
something
I
tasty?
think,
Which,
and also grabbing some pickles. Um,
yes,
I do think that too. I love supporting local, shopping small, and being able to support the business community where I live. So I think that's great for farmers markets because you get a lot of, small farms, makers, and all that bringing their stuff to the markets. But also, I'm not vegan, but I don't necessarily like eating meat from big meat farms. So if I'm going
yeah,
to consume something, I'd much rather have it from a local farm where I know that it's not in bad conditions and it's not overproduced. They're healthy. Um, Mainly, I just buy too many eggs to the point where I should probably just have chickens. But I just can't get to the point where I know those chickens are going to stop laying. What do you do with them then? Am I just going to have 1,000 chickens, just companion
maybe.
chickens? Maybe. I mean, maybe, yeah.
Could be worse. I don't know.
But yeah, it's a great place to support your local community too.
Yeah, agreed there. Um, yeah, so that pretty much wraps up our fun episode on Green Dragon Farmers Market. We touched on the Amish community in Pennsylvania. Sarah gave a great history on farmers markets, which I had no idea dated back to, wow, 1600s. Um, yeah, anything else you want to add about any of these topics?
Uh, look up Squonkapalooza so that way you can support your local squonk.
Perfect.